Okay, my loves, my sweet community. It's a vibe. Here we are tapping into this beautiful spread that we have that feels so good, so relevant, so powerful for our community right now. I want to offer this reading exclusively to our It's a Vibe community. A little treat for our OGs, to those of us really doing the work and sitting with ourselves and really walking our talk, really tapping into our divinity, really tapping into our heart space, wanting to share love and connection with all of those around us. Before we get started, if there is anyone who has not had the opportunity to sit with the imagery that has been sent to our community before this reading comes out, I encourage you to do that. Although it isn't completely necessary, I really like the idea of using this guide, spending some time in meditation, and really sitting with what comes up for you and taking notes so that as we move through this reading, I can tap into that energy. So the way these readings work is that I am tapping into a collective energy. This isn't a one-on-one reading. So every single little thing in this reading could apply to you, or there may be bits and pieces here that are really relevant to you, or something relevant to someone that you love, or an opportunity to broaden your perspective on what other people may be going through right now. Also, the way that energy works, if you are taking the time to really sit with the energy of this reading and this imagery and journaling, I will be able to tap into that whenever we begin, because energy is timeless. So whether you are listening to this reading in real time or you stumble upon this later, the magic is still here. So without further ado, I would really like to jump in. And the first thing that I want to address is the very center of this reading. So the center column, where we see this beautiful blue 6 chakra card at the very top. Underneath is number 9, the Hermit card, and beneath that is number 9, the Ancestor card. I love how in shuffling these cards and pulling for the divine self, the number 9 card comes up both in the Triple Goddess deck as well as our witchy, edgy, It's a Vibe deck. So the Hermit card, what's coming to me with this Hermit energy is a need to really connect with our inner self, with our inner guide, our inner teacher, as well as connecting with our ancestors and our guides. So right now there is a lot of noise happening. A lot of noise happening all around us. And especially as a community of very intuitive people, it's very easy to get swept away in the energy of everything going on around us. We are specifically being asked to contemplate the power of influence when it comes to media. What are we taking in? How are we being influenced? And how are we influencing those around us by the words that we use, the things that we post, etc.? There is really strong energy coming through of ancestors and guides wanting to connect with us. Right now, the energy of our guardian angels and the energy of feminine wisdom that has come before us is wanting to come through. I want to share a story about something that happened for me not long ago that is proving very, very strongly that this is accurate. A few weeks ago, I had a reading with a dear friend of mine, and she was channeling someone in my family who I couldn't quite put my finger on because I'm not incredibly close to a lot of the feminine beings that have passed on in my family. And this person was coming through with very clear messages about myself as a child. This is clearly someone that was around, and the only person that came to mind was someone that I didn't know passed, or she might not have passed yet. She could be on her way out. And one of the messages that was coming through was that she anchors me in my dream state, that she is my guide when I'm sleeping. And I've been really struggling with very dark dreams of me running away from something. And I feel intuitively that it's time to stop running and face whatever it is. But whenever the opportunity presents itself in my dreams, I have wild experiences and end up waking up. Like my subconscious does not want to go there. And so a message that she had for me was that when I go to sleep, she will be there. She will be my anchor. She will ground me. She wants to help me through what it is that's coming up for me. So a few nights later, I'm drifting off to sleep. I'm asking for protection. I'm connecting with my guardian angel. And I asked her to be present when I drifted off to sleep. And sure enough, I have a dream that someone I love is kidnapped. And I can immediately tell that when my dream self is wanting to panic, there is one foot in panic and one foot in being really grounded and remembering this reading. And so in the dream, this loved one is being held for ransom, and we decide to meet up at this restaurant. And I keep telling myself that everything's going to be okay. We're going to wait for this person to show up. I kind of felt like the person who kidnapped her was an idiot. So I was really trying to stay grounded. Well, while I was waiting for the kidnapper to show up at this restaurant, I walk up to the counter to order something to drink. And the person working behind the counter has their back to me and turns around. And it is this feminine person from my family delivering my drink. And I walk back to the table and I sit down and have this exchange with this kidnapper, and they end up just setting my loved one free. And I feel like it's very profound to actually have seen this person's face. And she told me she would be there to anchor me through these chaotic dream states and through this evolution that my soul is wanting to go through. And sure as shit, she was there. So we're really being asked to get quiet, to get centered, to connect with our energy so that we can feel the presence of our guardians around. There's also a lot happening in our sixth chakra. I'm feeling so much tightness and tension there. And when I start moving energy through my subtle body, there's a lot of change and transformation wanting to happen. If you took the time to look at this layout before we got started, you'll see at the top that there's a message that perspective is our gift. Study this picture from all different angles because you'll see some of these cards seem to be reversed, some of them seem to be upright. But when I was studying this layout, I was walking around the table the entire time. So the sixth chakra, Ajna, our third eye, is very much so about perception of wisdom, leveling up, moving through this initiation so that we can be gifted with an up level of wisdom as well as the opportunity to show up in the world from a heightened place of service. So getting quiet, reevaluating, calling on your guides, and allowing a shift to happen. We're calling on our inner self to wake up so that we can up level. Also being very mindful as this shift happens in our third eye center of your dreams, your vision. We're waking up that unconscious self, allowing her to come to the forefront to shake off the dust. I almost get this energy of like rising from the dead and shaking off all the dirt and allowing pieces of ourselves to wake up that have been dormant for a really long time. Our guardian angel in the top left corner is the energy of temperance. So temperance is, I'm checking my notes. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So when we're studying the tarot, temperance is our angel of balance, our angel of, she shows up as we are allowing parts of our ego, parts of our personality to die, to fall away, and allowing that inner angel, that inner self to emerge. So as we move through this journey of waking up, we have one foot very grounded in the earth and another foot submerged in our watery depths. And so she is helping us navigate this season of being very in tune with our gifts, with that inner wisdom, with our intuition, and also teaching us to show up into the world and guiding us as we show up as this newer version of ourselves. When we're sitting in the depths of our subconscious and allowing old pieces of ourselves to fall away, our frequency begins to shift and change. It's not always easy to be in this process of rebirth and regeneration and then going out into the world and still existing. People expect us to behave a certain way. They're used to us behaving a certain way. So when we show up and our usual triggers aren't triggering us and we're really working on standing in this divine true sense of self, it takes so much energy and so much strength and really calling in that power, that grounded sense of self to stand very firm in the midst of old chaos. The next message I want to move to is divine masculine. So we have the grandfather card as well as daughter of fire. And right now we're being asked to connect. When I was connecting last night with this energy, what I feel for so many of us is that we are, when I'm breathing into my very core, so our sacral solar plexus center, so the point right below our belly button and our very middle center, energy is just being drained from there. We have to work on building that core strength and calling in that energy of fire and allowing that center to build momentum. So the question that we're asking ourselves right now is, where are we feeling really drained? Where are we leaking energy? And part of being called into this hermit space is allowing ourselves the time to really integrate all of the lessons and all of the downloads that are coming through. Daughter of fire and grandfather together are asking us to pay attention to our power, learning how to stand in our strength and wield our power. When is our light being diminished and when is it being fed? Practicing core work right now is going to help build a container for this fire. And grandfather energy, emperor energy, the energy of number 4, which we have 2 number 4 cards here. We have grandfather and the emperor as well as 4 of wands. So 4s are all about structure. We want to create a container for this power within ourselves we want to have this store of power. We want to have this inner power so that when we show up in the world, I'm noticing for myself There's certain energies that come into my life, that come into my field, specifically for myself, and this could be different for you. It's around certain types of men. There's a certain masculine energy that comes into the room, and it's hard for me to make eye contact with them, and I'm starting to get pissed off with myself because I need to be able to stand in my power and address this energy without feeling diminished. And that's an example of a time where I want my feet to feel really firmly on the ground and feel into that power center and be able to stand in my truth and in my authenticity. I think I'm saying that right. I had to check myself. And not allow that drain to leak. We're also being asked to look at our sexual energy. How are we exchanging sexual energy with the people in our lives? What is our sex magic practice like? What is our practice like with our partners? Are we in a healthy sexual relationship? Because if we are not, we are draining that sexual, vital, life force energy. So what is that sexual exchange of energy like for you right now? Okay, and then moving on to our divine feminine energy. I love that we have very masculine energy present in our divine feminine section. So each of these sections, this is a message from the divine feminine, a message from divine masculine, a message from inner child, a message from inner warrior, a message from self. I probably should have started the reading like that, but we're rolling with it. So our message from the divine feminine, I love that we have the Emperor present and King of Swords present, because the masculine energy in this space is asking us to cultivate the container, grandfather energy, fire energy, emperor energy. We are creating a container to hold all of our delicious, beautiful, feminine energy so that we can stand in this energy very firmly, very strongly. We have 3 of Swords, 4 of Wands, and 3 of Pentacles. This energy is all about creating stability specifically in our home. Whether you have a family, whether you have a partner, or whether you live alone, we are being asked to get very real about our perception of our situation. What does home feel like right now? Are we allowing loving energy into our space? Or are we very guarded from past hurts and not allowing ourselves to see the beauty of the life that we have right now? For some of us, we're laying the foundation and really healing through some heavy shit that we've been through. And so we are being asked to really sit with the energy of our home and ask ourselves, what are we cultivating in this space? What is in alignment and what is not? We're being asked, with the Hermit present, with Temperance present, to get really grounded in our home and really present. What are we valuing right now? And is that in alignment with our day-to-day? What is a part of our day-to-day that doesn't serve us any longer? Are we using our voice to express our needs? Or are we allowing other people to call the shots? Again, cultivating that fire in our belly, cultivating sacred sexuality, creating a container so that fire within us can build, so that we can ask for what we need and speak our truth. And be grounded in this moment. There's also an energy here of For some of us, that fire is so strong and so powerful that we're burning all the houses in the area down, every single one of them. And so with Daughter of Fire here, Page of Wands, we are asking ourselves, do we need to build this sacred container? Or do we need to have healthy practices to release some of this fire in a way that we're not burning down everything in our vicinity? We move on to our message from our inner warrior. We have sacred rage, we have death, and we have wholeness. It's funny that this happens because part of me was called to this altar and called to this time of inner stillness because I am having anxiety and rage and just these feelings of anger kicked up. And I'm asking myself if this anger is directed at specific people for a reason, or is it something inside of me? Like, what is it that's needing to be addressed and surfaced right now? And what I'm feeling for our collective community when it comes to this energy of anger and rage and fire is that for so long, for so many of us, we've been on this journey following along and getting swept away in whatever energies are surrounding us. And right now, we feel this call to stand very firmly in our truth. And we have this desire to be heard and to be seen. And when we are not taking the time to sit with ourselves and cultivate this inner stillness and this relationship with ourselves, and just a loving awareness of energy and the sacred exchange of energy, what's going on around us, what's going on within us, we tend to fly off the handle and not have this container holding this sacred feminine energy and directing it in the appropriate places. And so I Am Whole, Death, and Sacred Rage are here to usher us into a new way of being, in a new way of staying sovereign and standing in solidarity and speaking our truth. If we learn to cultivate this inner stillness and to cultivate this inner fire in a way that is productive and divine and authentic, when we have that energy and we need to stand in our truth and we need to express ourselves or stand up for someone that we love, we're doing so with power and with grace, and we're heard. And there's this sacred inner warrior that wants to be connected to, but she needs and wants to have direction. What is it that you're fighting for? What is it that you're standing for? Who are you fighting with? Is it yourself? Is it the outer world? Is it a piece of you that's really needing your love and attention? We're also being asked to invite in. This came up last night in sitting with these cards. I forgot where I read it, but it was saying that, let me see if I took. We must not push the pain away from us, but somehow take it deep inside until it is transformed by courage and love. I've been wanting to pop off for a month now, and I keep finding different places to put this anger. And I find that no matter which direction I want to put it in, it feels exactly the same. And it's something inside of me that's wanting to be addressed. Now, there is a voice needs to be given to this feeling of anger and upset, but I want to be sure that it's being directed authentically and in the right place. And what I'm finding about this anger and fear and sadness is that wanting to pop off is behavior that little Carly would exhibit when I was feeling afraid or lonely or scared. And when I spoke my truth, it was often shut down and ended in pain. And so that piece of me is feeling the need to express herself, but I don't identify with that frequency anymore. I want to have these conversations and speak to the ones that I love and express my voice without having to be angry. And I truly feel like I can do that, especially since I'm taking the time to cultivate that inner fire, to create this sacred container, to get really quiet and still and ask myself where I feel this anger and rage and fear in my body. Where is it coming from? And allowing it to have a voice and loving that piece of myself that needs love so that I can express myself and express my truth and be grounded and know what I need and express what I need in a loving way. I don't want to be a warrior just for the sake of being a warrior. I want to fight for love and for peace, and there's times where that piece of us needs to emerge. But how are we wielding that power? Referring back to the message from Divine Masculine, how are we wielding our power? And then if we bring our attention to the crystals that are connected to the soles of our feet, and then the one at the very bottom connected to the crown chakra. If you've been following me for a while, at least my last few videos, I'm talking a lot about the chakras at the soles of the feet. Those are so fucking active right now. That is a new sensation that just started happening in the last year, and I really love it. And the position of these crystals, so if you're looking at it where the ancestor card's at the bottom and the sixth chakra card is at the top, the feet are at the top of the reading and the crown chakra is at the bottom of the reading. And inversions have been coming up so much in physical practice, partly because I'm feeling incredibly connected to Hanged Man energy. So Hanged Man energy is when you're suspended, head towards the earth, feet towards the sky. And we are aware of the things in our life that need to change, but no action is necessary right now. We're just suspended in time, allowing the energy around us to move, understanding all of the change that needs to take place, all of the death that must happen in order for us to be reborn and allow the ego to die and the divine self to step into her power. And I love how they talk about the crown being close to the earth and the feet being close to heaven. And I feel that for releasing tension in the third eye. I feel that last night I laid my ears to the earth. It felt so good in releasing tension from my neck and releasing tension from my back and my shoulders. And I would just switch sides. And so allowing ourselves to be really connected at the crown of our head to the earth. So downward facing dog, child's pose with your third eye on the ground. You can go into handstand or headstand if that's in your practice. I've even been going into shoulder stand prep and allowing the very crown of my head to be fully connected to the earth, and then slowly bringing the rest of my body into a shoulder stand position, but not quite going all the way up because I'm building that strength to get there. So that's a beautiful practice. Legs up the wall as well. So allowing ourselves to be suspended in this moment. There's action happening in this spread, but it's internal. It's internal. There isn't a whole lot of outward action happening. When there is outward action happening, because right now we're conserving energy, we're building that fire, we're building that connection to our energetic subtle body. And so we don't want to exert a whole lot of energy in outside interactions, in conflict, in drama, in mental anguish by getting involved in bullshit on the internet. We're really being mindful of how we're spending our resources, time, money, energy, etc. And then we have our message from our inner child. To me, this wasn't so much like a little girl. This was my 26, 27-year-old self sitting in my room, deciding that it was time to make major changes and feeling scared as fuck, but also knowing they were absolutely necessary. And our message from our inner child is around soul family and allowing ourselves to tap into a frequency of joy and allow the dance of the universe to happen around us. That means connecting with ourselves, doctoring up and loving on our frequency, figuring out what we need, and then allowing that frequency to call in our soul family because they're everywhere. And with the hermit present, the hermit isn't only inner guides and teachers and ancestors and guardians. The hermit is calling in also teachers on this earth, soul family on this earth, people who we're meant to walk home with as both teacher and student. And the card of transformation. So again, where do we need to be transformed, and allowing that frequency to shift and change so that we can call in our tribe. If any of you are not familiar with Dolores Cannon's work, this is a beautiful time to give her a listen. I will link a podcast episode by her in the show notes in the comments below. And she talks about soul family and the contracts that we make with our soul family before we incarnate into this life, and how we show up for each other in perfect divine timing. And then we have the card of chaos in the right-hand corner, card number 16. This card was not actually a part of the spread. It was at the bottom of the deck when I cut the cards, and it was on the floor. And I feel like this card is very relevant because if we avoid this work that we're being so called to, it will always find a way to us. This lesson, this gift, this teaching will continue to present itself to us because it is in our best interest. It is part of what we signed up on this earth to learn. The card of chaos can be really soft and gentle and surprising and just a gift of serendipitous moments. It can also be the card of ripping the rug out from under you if you feel the call to make a change and you're choosing to ignore it. That could be continuing to push pain away, continuing to interact with people that you don't feel a connection to, entertaining habits that no longer serve, or choosing to numb out instead of feel. This only works for so long. It only works for so long. And then we have plant energy and plant medicine and mother energy present. I think we're coming to an end. Speaking of medicine, I'm absolutely feeling called to talk about, I love plant medicine. It can be a double-edged sword. And so if you're using plant medicine as a way to numb or as a way, or using it, it's a tool. And there are times where I feel like I'm having trouble releasing something and I'm having trouble tapping in. And plant medicine is such a friend to me. It allows me to move my body, to get really present in the moment, and to connect and release in a way that is sometimes really hard when I'm dealing with an overwhelming amount of energy moving through my subtle body. But this can also quickly turn into something that we rely on too heavily. And so I want you to ask yourself, if plant medicine is something that you feel called to use, really sit with the energy of this and ask yourself if it is supporting you or if it's blocking you. And I have it connected to this mother energy because plant medicine shows up for me as a very loving, motherly, grandmotherly presence. And I feel that energy very present in this reading and very present in life right now. I also feel, you'll see at the bottom, our physical practice is meant to support our solar plexus and sacral work. And we're really making space and releasing guilt, shame, fear, trauma from our mother wound, from our sacral chakra. And then earth is our anchoring element for this reading and for this season. The Fool is always present in the journey of the tarot. And this card just feels so beautiful as we embark on our summer season. And I really feel with all of the astrology happening right now, we're getting to this point where there's so much energy culminating and we're being asked to release and move through this death portal so that we can show up in a new frequency, a new way of being, with new gifts and new downloads and new relationships. And yeah, it feels really beautiful. And I have that the gaze of the Fool is directed towards the third eye center on our sixth chakra card. And I feel that a new way of perceiving this life, and what a gift it is to be here and present and grounded in this moment. A mantra I've been really connected to is how this moment is perfect and precious, and there's no other way for it to be. I really enjoyed this reading. It feels so beautiful, and I feel so connected to our community. I hope that this message resonates with you and that we can continue to meet in this way. I would love to continue a discussion on these cards and what spoke to you. And if you have anything to add, especially for the community, we would love to hear it. And I want to ask if there's anything else, any other messages for us today. Our guides are just saying, good job. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. You are so beautiful and so loved and held in this space. And you deserve to be here and to take up space and to be seen and to be heard. And so do all other beings around you. And so let's honor and respect the light within ourselves while also honoring and respecting the light inside all of those that we meet. And I say namaste, mwah, and peace out.